Welcome to Blink 155, the internet's just absolute best, most affectionate
Content.
Blink 182.
Just the best content
Just the
online.
best content online. Josiah, how's your content?
What do you mean? What does that mean?
I don't know. Just like, how's content been for you for the last week?
Well, actually, just yesterday, so part of being someone writing for like a music website in 2018, it's just a dark, horrible world out there. Very depressing. And one of the worst things you can get is like someone requesting you to premiere a video for them.
Yeah, I like the idea that the world isn't depressing. It's just working for like music magazines in 2018.
Well,
if you have a different kind of job, you probably haven't noticed anything over the last year.
Yeah, like literally you're describing yourself.
Right, yeah. Well, I'm inoculated by my tremendous wealth and Harvard education.
I'm eating right now also, by the way.
Right, you did say you were going to try something new on the pod this week, which was eat a soft cookie while recording.
I'm eating a soft Bucks ginger molasses cookie. Probably the only truly great thing from Starbucks baked goods, in my opinion.
I love the banana nut loaf.
You would.
I thought that was...
I'm just being ornery for no reason. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe writing for a music website is a microcosm of everything, where
Interesting.
It all sucks. And everyone's just trying to get by, and no one cares about each other, including me. I don't really love getting music video premiere requests. It's quite depressing.
Yeah.
It's usually for something that's just like horrible, or something that you click and it already has like 600 views, and they're asking for a premiere of something they released 2 weeks ago on their own Facebook.
Ooh.
It's like it's bad. But yesterday I got a very interesting one. So I looked at my Twitter, I saw that I had a new DM, and it was from my friends in Smash Mouth.
Wait, Smash Mouth, who refuses to come on this podcast, are now coming crawling to you asking for your help?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say it, man. Fuck Smash Mouth.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kidding. I love Smash Mouth. Smash Mouth, please come on the pod. I don't know what I was thinking.
They did a new song. Not gonna. I should emphasize that. People often say.
I figured you would eat when I was talking, but you're
I know. I thought
clearly...
so too, but then I started the cookie, and I'm like, I can't wait. I gotta get this in me. It's so good. What am I trying to say again?
Smash Mouth DM'd you, but not about the pod.
Oh yeah. Well, people often say to me, "Oh, thank you so much for reviewing our." Or it's always like, "Oh, my buddy told me you reviewed his brother's band. Thank you so much." And it's like, no, I didn't review it. It's an objective thing. I didn't put my thoughts about your shitty music video in the premiere. I premiered it. There's a difference.
So people are coming to you expressing gratitude, and you're like, fuck you. This isn't what
because they're saying I reviewed something, and it's like, no, I didn't review it. You would not be talking to me if I reviewed it.
Okay, I
You
understand.
wouldn't want to reach out to me after if I had reviewed it, but I posted it from an objective standpoint. So anyways, I'm just trying to say, me posting the Smash Mouth song is not necessarily me saying that it's good.
Right. Retweets do not equal
Endorsements, yeah. But the song is Smash Mouth teaming up with Cool Keith and DMC of Run DMC.
What? So your review would have been quite positive, I imagine.
I mean, I don't think I've made it all the way through the song yet, but it's called Unity, and it's about how we all need unity right now. So go check that out. I sent it to their manager, Ron, after the post. I was like, oh, it's going to go live tomorrow. So make sure you guys share our link if you can, because then, of course, what always happens when you do premiere is you find out that you're just the Canadian partner on a premiere.
Right.
And then it actually was already posted. I don't know. It's all fucking bullshit. But anyways, Ron was like, yeah, brother, we'll blast out that motherfucker. But he censored the word motherfucker in a private email.
Really?
It's really good. Yeah, Ron. So shout out to Ron. Shout out to Smash Mouth. Even if you refuse to come on the pod, as long as you keep talking to me, you're going to be mentioned on the pod.
Yeah. And, I appreciate, because at a time when the discourse has been so degraded, when communication at the highest level, from the greatest leaders in the world has been reduced to sort of, such sort of crass nonsense.
So you're saying that the current leaders of the world are the greatest.
I'm saying they're great in terms of their influence,
like
and
how much they rock.
and yeah, how extremely rad they all are. Universally, I just want to say I respect all authority. But it's good to know anyway that Ron is sort of keeping it PG and sort of respecting civility even in the DMs.
Yeah, exactly. And it was like a hybrid of DM and email. Like he was hitting me from all angles. Ron really, he's one hell of a manager. So if anyone else needs representation, I can hook you up with his email address.
Well, maybe we should have a manager, because I know like there are like social media stars. Obviously, that have managers. There's managers that specifically do that. I feel like, we've reached the point where, like, if a Vine star can have, management, maybe the pod needs management, and maybe that person is Ron.
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, at the very least, I'd like to see that account pop up right now. Blink-152's manager.
Yeah, exactly.
That'd be good.
Just asking people for more money than we already do on the Patreon. I don't know. I have no idea what else they would do.
Yeah. What else is there? What else is in the news these days?
Well, it is interesting. It is interesting that we were talking about leaders and how great they all are, because, one of the things I did want to mention, we post this on the socials, but I do feel the need to sort of say it on the pod and promote myself, which is that, like, the band that I play in is going to Europe for the first time. And I know there are some people who listen to the pod who live in some of those cities. So we've talked about, like, the London show and stuff. And so if you're around, also, we probably could use all the bodies we can get at these shows. So if you happen to listen to this podcast and live in, like, Trier, Germany, which I have no idea where that is, we're going to be there. So
you're talking about the band Junior Battles.
The band
first of all. You
Junior Battles.
To say the name.
Yeah. I thought if I said the name, it would be like too much promotion. But then I started
you just like
promoting individual
3 paragraphs.
dates. Yeah, it's
so basically what you're saying is anyone who listens to the pod gets guest list.
That's what
merch?
Nope, that's not. I'm saying, please, I need your money and your presence. So Junior Battles is good if you like, I don't know, pop punk.
If you like the stuff that Sam says on here, then go see Junior Battles.
Right, that's it. But it's got me thinking. So I've never been to the UK, and I'm very excited. But one of the things that's so interesting is like trying to figure out. We're going all over continental Europe, and it's weird with like driving the cars and crossing borders sometimes and not crossing borders sometimes, and it made me think a lot about Brexit, which of course was it remains a big deal as it's being negotiated, and you have leaders like Angela Merkel who are stepping down, and then you have leaders like Theresa May in Britain.
Okay, I see what you're already here.
Well, did you have anything else to say? You literally said, "What's in the news?"
It makes you, all that shit that you're describing just makes you wish that you lived in California. The other thing I was going to say off the top was I've noticed that there's been our lovely fans who I love and cherish dearly. Mm-hmm. They've all been saying, and people I know have been saying to me, like, what are you guys going to do when you run out of songs? Like, are you going to keep going? Like, I'm already
That's come
sad
up a lot
for the end of the pod.
Recently.
People keep saying that. And I've, I think about it sometimes and I think, oh, well, there might be more songs, or maybe we'll do something else, or maybe we will just like go our separate ways. We'll see. But then the other angle of that I think is actually much more upsetting and terrifying is that we haven't even hit the halfway mark.
I know. Yeah, if we were doing like halfway episodes, I would understand, because then we'd all be sort of contemplating, like, we'd be having our midlife crisis. But this is like people having their midlife crisis in their 20s. Mostly
lately, I'm feeling the weight of like, I'm reading this fucking Fuse TV John Feldy interview for the 100th time, like, and it's not even halfway. And also, what are all these songs that are in the second half? I'm starting to realize there's songs called like Untitled Number 3 and shit. Like,
right.
It's a real dark road ahead.
Yeah. So I wonder what has sort of led everyone down this kind of path of just contemplating the mortality of the pod. Like, it's very dark, right?
Yeah, and I think it's maybe because like, it hasn't gotten truly bad yet. We haven't done like the country song, which is just like 20 seconds of a fake country song about dicks.
Right.
That's a one live recording. Like, I mean, there's a lot of shit coming. And we always think like, oh, we shouldn't do hits, but kind of every song we've done so far is low key in one way or another a hit.
Right, because they're all songs that we think of on our own. Like, it tends to be you and I talking in chat, and like, oh, should we do this song this week? Great. Like, we're not going to the list and being like, what does Untitled number 7 even sound like?
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe that's what we'll have to do while you're away.
Yeah.
We'll have to just dig into like the real bullshit garbage. But I guess I shouldn't have said that out loud, because the point is to trick your fans into not realizing that you're feeding them gruel.
That's
make
true.
It seem like it's a delicious meal.
You want everything to taste like caviar.
Exactly. I mean, honestly, I've never tried caviar, Sam, so I don't know. I'm not
Josiah,
going up for your $80 lunches.
It's simply divine. Much like the song, or I mean, not really. She's out of her mind. Josiah, how do you feel about this song?
This song fucking sucks.
Oh, dude, it sucks so fucking bad.
We've done so many songs lately that are like either songs that we love or songs that we're on the fence about that we end up loving. But this song sucks. And this song reminds me of The American Office for a lot of reasons.
Oh, yeah.
It's a shitty remake of something, and it's something that I've tried so hard to like that there was a brief window where I did like it. Same with The American Office, like season 2 or something. I'm like, oh yeah, this is actually pretty fun. And then then later on you realize that it's like reprehensible and disgusting. And I'm sure everyone will be mad because most GIFs come from that. If you're not doing digital blackface, you're doing Office GIFs.
Wait, what?
Yes.
What's digital blackface?
Well, that's sort of not really something that I feel totally equipped to talk about. But there are people who argue that if you use
reaction GIFs that are
reaction GIFs from like African American pop culture, that you could be appropriating. But I think if you're not when you're not doing that, you're doing Michael Scott being like, ugh,
or no,
in GIF form.
No, yeah.
I don't know. Like, I feel like I tried so hard to like The American Office, and there was a brief window where I'm like, oh, this is pretty good. But then, like, Dwight just got so... it's just so crass and such a soulless remake of something, and that's what this song is, too. I almost liked it for, like, 5 minutes, and then absolutely not. Terrible.
Well, yeah, I mean, I certainly don't want to use up precious pod time debating the merits of The American Office. And Lord knows I've been on the wrong side of every pop culture debate that we've had so far, at least according to the Twitter. But I feel like The American Office eventually, there's a few years there where it's like, I think it's pretty funny. And it's also like it's just like a blanket of like, it's just kind of nothing. It's a very pleasant nothing. But this song is an unpleasant nothing. However, right. I can track the metaphor.
Yeah, and maybe I am wrong about The American Office. I feel like I hate everything that people like. Like, people like that show where they say fork all the time about heaven or whatever.
The Good Place. Yeah.
Yeah, like, I can't watch that shit. It's terrible.
It's a great show.
I can't watch TV shows like that.
It's a really good show.
Get away.
So, well, let's do a exclusive debating NBC primetime comedies.
Yeah, what's that guy's name? Mike Schur?
Mike Schur, yeah. We can talk about Parks and Rec. It's going to be great.
That would be an easy debate for me. I've drawn a very firm line.
Yeah, you have a clear sort of point of view on this. But the idea that this song is effectively just like the contemporary version of Rock Show, I guess. The video is What's My Age Again? But melodically and structurally, this is just Rock Show, right?
Yeah, like, I didn't notice that until I read other people saying it, but I think some lyrical parts are definitely like, she said, what is there some he said, she
but
said,
it's also the like bing,
too?
Bing, bing, like it's the same, right?
Oh yeah.
Like the undergirding on a rhythmic level is just Rock Show, which is like a fucking terrible song.
Thanks for saying undergirding. That's good.
Who did it? And I was doing like a motion with my hands, like of girding that is under. So
look, and like, as much as have
you done that
you're
cookie?
Totally
I haven't heard the cookie.
Yeah, I've done it. I'm a fast eater.
Oh, okay.
I'm a really fast eater.
So you couldn't eat before we started recording?
Well, that's what I mean. I just sat down and started recording, and then I took a bite while you were talking, but I'm such a fast eater that I couldn't wait for the next break. You know what I mean? I had to just power through.
Because we also talked before recording for like 5-10 minutes.
Yeah, but I didn't want to be rude and eat while I was talking to you.
I appreciate that.
Where are we going with this?
Well, so rock show,
182.
yeah. What do you hear when you hear the song? Because the beginning is a little bit. I mean, the video has the "What's My Age Again" thing, which is terrible, and we have to talk about that on its own.
Yeah, I think here's what I think about the rock show and this song.
Yeah.
And in general,
Maybe we could take care of both these songs in one episode.
Yeah, I hope so. Then we can be closer to the halfway mark at least. God damn.
Jesus. I can't believe you're really feeling it. That's interesting to me.
You know, another thing that's going on is my Chrome browser has been crashing all day, so I'm using Safari and I don't have an ad blocker, and now I have a ad with Kevin O'Leary. He's live in Calgary. Kevin O'Leary. He's looking right at me on this lyric page.
Dude, you should go. Maybe.
Do you think he would go on the pod?
I honestly think Kevin O'Leary would go on the pod. He's just like, he'll do anything. That's a guy who'll come to the opening of a letter.
Did you? Is that yours?
No, someone else said it once about a local YouTuber that they were insulting, and I thought, damn, that's
Sam
good.
Sutherland.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I've seen people debating like, oh, I'm starting to realize Mark can't really write good melodies and good songs without Tom, stuff like that. And I disagree with that, but I do think Mark's not as good as Tom at writing like dumb, simple songs. Like, I will give All the Small Things that it does have some element that breaks it outside of just being generic, whereas the rock show and this, and especially this, sounds like, I mentioned it once before, like HGTV pop punk. Like when there's like a commercial teasing the next episode of Property Boys or whatever the fuck. It sounds like that kind of pop punk that they play in the background.
I love the Property Boys. It's definitely not true that Mark can't write without Tom, because we need look no further than our recent exclusive on No It Isn't, which is a song that I haven't been able to stop listening to. Like, Mark's got it. He's a talented young man, but
I don't think he can write the stupid song.
No, and that's what makes, like, I think songs like Online Songs such a like beautiful miracle, because you're like, oh my god, a perfect, like, when he just lets his mind go, he's capable of writing like incredible, perfect pop punk songs. Just dumb, simple songs. The thing about this song, and I'm sure you'll get into this, is like when you read about how they wrote it, is like this is so like rewritten. Like you can't.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say next. It stresses me out so bad to hear Mark said that it's a combination of 4 or 5 different choruses.
Yeah, fuck that. Like, it's.
Oh my god.
And you can tell, like, it's just it feels like it was written by an algorithm.
Yeah.
And even though, like, you know, I took a shit on First Date when we did it, but I think of, like...
You took a shit on your first date?
I took a shit on my first date, but you know what? Things worked out. Happily married, baby.
She's a freak.
Yeah, exactly. Turns out. Okay, so this is like always one of those things where like occasionally people will like at Ashley on Twitter and mention something that she didn't hear me say when I was recording, and she'll be like, "What the fuck do you say about me on the pod?" And I'm like, "Nothing. You hear all of it." And then this is going to be one of those things where I'll have to explain it. It's going to be weird for a minute. But
I mean, or we could have just moved on and no one would have remembered, and it would have been fine.
No, but now it's a thing. Now it's a thing. Oh god.
It's like when you're trying not to name drop your own band and you instead just read your entire itinerary and all of your guarantees and stage
Of course,
plots.
yes. Looking forward to our show in Hamburg, where we're being
Maybe
paid.
it's that, but okay, maybe it's that Mark can do the stupid songs when he writes them quickly. Like "Don't Leave Me" from Enema of the State is, I think he wrote it in like 5 minutes.
Yeah, first thought,
And
best thought.
He's really good at that, but then like at what point are you like, man, this song is going nowhere. Maybe we should give up on it. Like, there's literally nothing to it, and it sucks.
Yeah.
And also, maybe we should just break up. And also, maybe this has been a mistake.
Do you mean are you saying that from the perspective of the band writing California? Are you saying that from your own perspective about the pod?
Both.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I mean,
I just got Kevin O'Leary staring at me. It's freaking me
You haven't
out.
closed it?
No, I got Genius open. I guess I could X out the ad.
I get
Does
it.
that work? Oh yeah. Stop seeing this ad.
Maybe you should attend though, because like I kind of feel
Not
like
interested in that ad.
I feel like you having never had caviar and you not attending Kevin O'Leary events in Calgary, like those things might be related, Josiah.
That's true.
So Ashley always makes fun of me because I'm like
Because you shat yourself.
because I shot
on your
myself on the
date.
first date, and she lords it over me. No, because like I love Twitter. Like I love being on Twitter, looking at tweets. The whole experience is just great for me. But I'm really fucking bad at it. Like I'm bad at Twitter. And one of the reasons that I think Ashley has pointed out is that like I can't just sort of like fire off like something dumb. I'll like write a tweet and then like stare at it for 20 minutes and be like, is this what I meant? And I'll like rewrite things. And it's like not what the platform is for. And I'll end up like publishing a tweet that like makes no fucking sense because I just like spent 20 minutes thinking about it. It's a fucking tweet. And so she will often make fun of me being like, you're very bad at using this platform. And in that sense, I can like relate to Mark because I feel like this attempt to sort of do something that should be simple, write a quip in 140 characters or 280 characters. You kind of get inside of your own mind, let alone the mind of the titular she, and you just overcomplicate things, maybe?
That's interesting. Is it like, because obviously Mark is not great at Twitter either.
Yeah.
Is it like a sort of like not wanting to, it's like this guardedness, like you want to participate, but you don't want to like stick out or say something that's too revealing or revealing the wrong part of yourself.
Totally.
Or like,
yeah. That's it. It's really pathetic.
Or it's like also like you're trying to cover your own ass in case you bum out the wrong person or something.
Yeah, exactly. Right. This Canadian media is small. It's like, you want to be able to take a shit on, like the fact that like we have so aggressively taken a shit on.
I feel like you really have to poo.
I'm just, I'm very, I'm in the anal phase right now. But like us constantly making fun of Indie 88, like on a public platform is like, makes me feel alive because I never previously would have done that. Like I have friends that work there, right? And so you're just like,
yeah.
And I know I don't give a shit like when I really think about it, but like, I now have a pin of Calvin pissing on the Indie 88 logo that was made by Smelly Chops in Australia. Thank you for those pins. They're in a bootleg Blink-155 merch store on Etsy. And I like put a photo of that. I put a photo of that on Twitter and I was like, this is crazy. I'm so bad.
Yeah. And I think I get credit for being this like maverick badass with making fun of things. But the reality is I live in the middle of nowhere and never have to see these people and don't know most of them.
Right,
so
yeah. Geography is
like, freedom. Yeah, exactly. Like I can just like be like, fuck Indie 88, fuck Norm, fuck the CN Tower on Bloor Street.
Right. And thankfully, like no one works for the CN Tower, and so they're not really mad about it.
Yeah. Yeah. So maybe you're right. Maybe there is this guardedness, but yeah, it is very like a 40-year-old man trying to write an unhinged pop punk song and just trying way too hard. And
oh God!
The end result is it's a disaster. And I think this is where Feldy's production is really terrible too, because it does sound flattened. Like what are those people called who like write music for commercials? Is there a name for that kind of person? Just like
jingle punks.
Yes, exactly.
Which, for people who don't know, Jingle Punks is the name of a prominent company, I guess. They do bed music and stuff. This is good.
Bed music. Yeah, this sounds like bed music. Mm-hmm. Thank you. You arrived at what I wanted.
There you go. I always get there eventually. I'm usually just like 20, 30 seconds behind you.
What do you think of the pre-chorus?
It's bad. Everything about it's bad. Everything about this song fucking sucks.
So what do you think of the lyrics of the pre-chorus?
Okay, let me pull up the lyrics here. Oh, yeah, she's antisocial and she's an angel. Yeah. What?
Okay. Nothing. Don't worry about it. But I want to break down all the lyrics because I don't even get what they're trying to say or who this person is. I think literally their understanding of someone who's kooky and strange is somebody who wears black clothing.
Yeah.
And likes to go on. Like, everything about it is so insane. And what kind of person is saying, babe, I'm sorry, but I'm crazy tonight? Like, what does that mean?
This is just like someone being like, what can I say? I'm just kind of random. Like, that's it. Like, I'm feeling a little nuts tonight.
And she's got a black shirt and a black skirt and Bauhaus stuck in her head. So, also, I just want to say, and no disrespect to the people who, like, identify as 2018 goth. And, like, I respect it and everything. It's totally chill. But being quote unquote goth and having like wearing black and liking entry level goth music is one of the more basic things you can do in 2018.
Yeah, everyone became goth. What's the reason?
Like real goth is like you still have acne at 38 and you live inside a basement of a basement and you like have strong opinions about more obscure Matrix movies. Like to me that's what real goth is. You know what I mean? Or like dreadlocks that are like no one would call cultural appropriation because they look like they're space dreadlocks.
Yeah, totally. Goths can wear dreadlocks and it's fully like just it's part of their culture.
Yeah, like in fact, they might have invented dreadlocks.
I think what very few people realize is it's actually it's being appropriated from them, the Goths. So that's
yeah, like to be like goth in a cute way is like, you know, that's fine. Do it. I'm not mad at you about it because I'm not goth, but it's not really goth.
I think it
like to wear a black skirt and a black shirt and listen to Bauhaus does not mean that you're like this wacky, crazy person. It means that you're like probably a marketing manager or a copywriter.
Well, it's the most like Urban Outfitters version of goth, right? Where you're like, I love Sisters of Mercy, Bauhaus, and also Peter Murphy from Bauhaus, and that's kind of you know how deep it goes. But is the sort of like goth trend? Do you feel like that's just tied to like astrology as a huge trend in general, like just kind of witchiness?
Yeah, I think so. I think also like a lot of people were raised on Harry Potter and it normalized them to witchiness. Not to bring up Christian fear from back then, but I think they might have been right because everyone's into like witchcraft now.
So just as the Christian expert of the pod, how do you feel about all this newfound witchery? Like when you turn on Netflix and you see the chilling adventures of Sabrina, do you think we've
honestly,
strayed from the path?
I actually personally can't watch it. It's too scary for me.
Right.
I'm not even joking. It's scary.
Wait, Sabrina?
Yeah, there's like too much scary shit in it. It freaks me out. I couldn't watch Hereditary either. I can't watch that kind of stuff. It's too scary.
Does it freak you out just as like a nervous, nice boy, or does it freak you out as a God-fearing Christian who is concerned with all the satanic imagery?
Yeah, like more that, I think, because I was like raised to believe
really?
to like be fearful of that stuff. So I can't I can't. It's too scary. It's too based on things that I was taught to be scared of.
That's so interesting. That makes sense to me because that's like, you know, I will always be afraid of like deep water in a movie because you're like, there are sharks in that. I've grown up to be afraid of that because of watching Jaws too much. But for you were taught that like, you know, Baphomet is evil. And so to see a bunch of like, you know, goat statues is spooky.
Yeah, it's scary. So I don't love it.
Okay. Cool.
But having said that, the sort of mall goth, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think people just like have spent the last 20 years trying to admit to themselves that Hot Topic is good, and then it finally happened.
Yeah.
And we're all just better off for it now. Now we can just all go to Hot Topic and enjoy ourselves.
I love how much you love Hot Topic. Like I got a message from you like a week ago. You were like, we should get Hot Topic to sponsor the pod.
I sent you that while I was in Hot Topic with my wife. And we had eaten dinner at the mall because we were going to a movie. And then as soon as we were done, she was like, well, should we go to Hot Topic? And I was like, hell yeah.
Did you have a lot of goths in high school growing up?
Well, I mean, I also feel like I'm probably using the term goth wrong. But I feel like goth is kind of like punk. It's changed so much.
I think it's,
over the decades.
There's certainly people who identify as goth that wouldn't recognize some contemporary goth and yada, yada, yada. But it's the same with every subgenre and subculture.
There's a lot of people in my school that seemed sort of trench coat mafia-ish.
Yeah.
There was a guy who lived on our street who had carved the word corn into his forearm with a knife.
Jesus Christ.
Which I think is pretty badass now. But he would always like steal our neighbors' lawnmowers and shit. And then his name was Ryan. I can't remember his last name. But then one time we played a show with the hand, and we got home really late, and I was like, oh, I don't feel like bringing the bass amp inside the house. So I just left it in the back of our Honda Civic. And then I'm pretty sure it was that guy stole it. Instead of just stealing the amp, he stole the car.
What?
And then, yeah, he stole our car. I'm pretty sure it was that guy.
No wonder you're afraid of goths.
Exactly. And then, like a week later, I got in so much trouble. I was like 17 because the cops found it, and they're like, oh my God. It looks like whoever stole this car has been living in it. There's like dirty dinner plates everywhere, but it was all just from me being a slob. My mom got so mad at me. It was just like all my shit, and they're like, oh my God, some drifters have been living in here.
That's good, man.
So anyways, she's out of her mind.
Yes.
By Blink-182.
So
yeah, I don't know. Like seriously, what are these lyrics saying? This girl is crazy because she. This reminds me of when we were talking about the song California, and it felt like they were trying to do something subversive, but it wasn't enough. Like wearing black in the sun. Like I feel like there's a lot of like, wow, wearing black is like badass on this album.
Yeah, I mean, it's
when
just,
actually it just makes you look skinnier if you're like a middle-aged man, like
Oh, that
like
part's
Blink-182.
Yeah.
They're not gonna wear like white.
I mean, I feel like this is just like a very sort of mall goth version of the Manic Pixie Dream Girl. You know, like it's the
Right.
manic mall goth dream girl. They're sort of conjuring in this song in the most like generic, superficial way. Because yeah, like I have no idea what any of this could possibly mean, but it's just like I love this girl, but she's nuts, baby. I mean, that's it.
Okay. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. No, I'm not all right. I lost my head on the door is an allusion to the Cure's album, The Head on the Door. So there is at least some sort of non-direct nod. But again, The Cure is like one of the only bands that they reference all the time.
Yeah, I feel like they could use a couple of new references. Like we talked about
They
this.
should do like one really deep one. Like just like ask a hip friend for something. And maybe they've never heard of it, but just name drop like some super obscure. Like the only one that I actually can think of is Section 25, but that's because I don't really know that kind of shit either.
Yeah.
But like,
I mean, I feel like Matt Skiba is pretty deep into like real goth shit, but like he gets really deep into the like kind of like fucked up gothy, like, you know, plays with Nazi imagery stuff. Like he,
oh yeah,
like Non and all that shit. So
but wouldn't he, along those lines, then wouldn't he feel so ashamed of this song?
yeah, you'd think where he's like, oh, but I'm like a real head. So I don't know. Like, yeah.
And then, so, okay, they reference The Cure, but then this pre-chorus, she's antisocial and she's an angel. Are those supposed to be, like, opposites? Is that some sort of wordplay? Because I feel like there must be some antisocial angels who just, like, chill in the back.
No, I think that's part of, I mean, sorry, I mean, you would know, but how are angels described in the book?
I actually don't. I don't know.
Like,
I don't know if they're, like, signs of an extroverted introvert angel.
Right, yeah. There's like a lot of angels taking like BuzzFeed quizzes where it's like signs you might be an introvert. Like you don't love to fire off your arrows all the time. Keep some arrows for yourself.
Then I'm in deep with this girl, but she's out of her mind. I mean, what is that? First of all, are you saying that it's weird that you love someone who has mental illness?
Yeah.
I mean, it's possible to do that.
I feel like we talked about this song like very early on in the pod when we were really starting to sort of flex how woke we could be, like performatively, and we were like, is this song kind of I don't know, shaming people for mental illness?
Well, this is definitely something that if I was to write this, that's where I would get my guards up and be like, am I crossing a line here? Like, you're saying that it's weird that you love someone who has mental illness?
Yeah, but it's very hard. Yeah.
Like, that's kind of, it does sketch me out a little bit, even though it's like so nothing of a song that you can't really be offended by it because it's an HGTV commercial hit.
Yeah, it's definitely, we'd be definitely stretching to be offended by this, which like I'm not above. But
yeah, no, I'm down to stretch to be offended, but I'm mostly offended by how shitty it is. Because also, like, why does he sing "We all need something to live for"?
It's not,
like,
but that's it. It sounds like something that is like they've just mashed up, as you even said. There's like 40 different choruses. It's kind of like, you know, when you're doing this like really high end recording, the way they do this is they will sometimes go like syllable by syllable, right? Like it's a meticulous process of recording where you're getting the perfect take of every single fucking mouth sound. And I feel like not only has this song probably been recorded that way, because that's how these albums get fucking recorded, it's how it's been written. Like, they've just taken 4 choruses and, like, picked up all the words, and they're like, okay, so yeah, black shirt, black skirt, I'm in deep. We all need something to live for. And then the whole thing, like, the fucking bridge with, like, she's not complicated, it can't be overstated. She's not complicated
There's
at all.
more ads above that. See, it's also so disorienting when you use it, when you turn off an ad blocker for the first time in months.
And you see
it's
the way
crazy.
the internet actually looks to people.
Like, for old people, no wonder they're so angry.
Yeah, it's hard to navigate the internet.
There's so much annoying, like, echoing on this song and repetition of words that, like, I thought I was okay with it, and I've done it once or twice, but now I hate it. I will never do it again in a song that I write because it's gross.
Yeah, I mean, just everything about this fucking sucks.
She's not complicated, aided. Like, why would you repeat that part? It sounds like you're talking about her eating something.
Yeah, the only good usage of that is in Umbrella, and that if you can't improve on Rihanna, don't bother.
Exactly.
And that's obviously what Mark Hoppus was trying to do on this song.
I mean, this song is a fucking mess.
It should be like a 5 Seconds of Summer song. It just feels like one of those things that hear on the radio.
It does feel like that, except I feel like 5 Seconds of Summer are better at writing this kind of thing.
Maybe. It's just like, it's like I'm actually getting mad that we're talking about the lyrics so much because they're so fucking useless and obviously meaningless.
But I guess what I was thinking too is, like, I'm okay with pop punk songs to sound like bad music or whatever. The back to school special sale at Winners, the commercial that you would see would have this song in the background. I'm okay that those things sound like pop punk, but Blink-182 are basically the original of that genre. And so I think what they should be doing should be slightly better than that. Even if it's still generic and shitty, I feel like it should be slightly better. And I also think that, like, and I actually talk about this later with our guest, but there's been so many MXPX songs that are, like, about a girl, and they still have, like, a narrative throughout. Like, even if you're going to just write a song about a girl, even if it's, like, shitty and shallow and boring.
Well, like Rock Show. Like, Rock Show has a narrative, right? First Date has a narrative. All the Small Things, like, has a narrative. Like, these are the songs that this belongs
character.
With. Yeah.
So I was looking on the Wikipedia. They have... I didn't even want to dig that deep into all the different quotes, but... first of all, this is the most modern pop punk thing in the world, but producer John Feldman first came up with the lyrical concept for the song while walking around Disneyland with his children.
What?
And then the other thing that makes it even crazier, because it seems like they're talking about a modern goth girl, but it was originally called Orange County Girl because Hoppus's wife, Sky, is from Orange County. So, I mean, I know those things aren't really opposite, especially not anymore, and especially if you're like a Disneyland goth. But at the same time, it seems completely opposite.
Yeah. I mean, this song is just so stupid. But was it going to be about how, like, Mark's wife is like, oh, she's a real character? Like, yeah.
Well, I guess in an interview with iHeartRadio that's no longer online, I think, is iHeartRadio gone?
No, iHeartRadio is extremely still here.
Oh, okay. I thought they went bankrupt or something, but was it just like a fake for the books bankrupt?
Maybe, yeah. I mean, it definitely still exists in Canada because Bell owns it. It's just been a fascinating bit of media ownership news for...
Yeah. We've gone beyond just like a cursory knowledge of Canadian media to now it's just for like the suits and executives. That's who
totally.
This
It's for people who subscribe to Playback Magazine. So...
See, I don't even know what that is. So the podcast is no longer for me.
It's only taken 69 episodes.
Not the sex number.
Nope, we've already addressed that.
Speaking to iHeartRadio, in an interview that seems to be gone now, Mark Hoppus said, it's inspired by girls that the band members had dated, which he described as awesome and a little bit crazy and a little bit dark.
Okay, man. Like, so he's describing... A fucking human being? Yeah, that has like, yeah. Wow, it's like, those kinds of people where they're like, sometimes they're funny, but sometimes they're sad, and they eat, they sleep, just like weird people like that. Like, it's the most. I don't even know how to engage with it because it's just so incredibly fucking stupid.
I know, and then so it also says in here that Skiba. Well, here's the weird thing. They keep using words like developed and stuff as if it took more than like 3 seconds to shit out each line. But they say Skiba developed the Bauhaus lyric. And though the team briefly worried Blink fans would be unfamiliar with the reference, they decided to include it anyway. So
I just like the idea of him like really workshopping it, being like,
he was like, "What if we said Bow Wow?" No, that's not what I'm thinking of.
she's got little yeah. The idea of like she's gothy, but she's also really into like 90s or early 2000s hip hop.
Yeah, but like just the very worst of that.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the poppy end of it.
So, I mean, I think ultimately we can blame Travis for most of this because
really?
Well, first of all, the part that I think is actually cute and honestly one of the better parts of the song musically is the bridge, because I think the drums sound bigger and like they're not gated or something. Everything else sounds gated in the fact that it never gets loud,
it's
and
awful.
also that it's performed by people who live in gated communities. But
interesting. You got to keep that one.
I know, I gotta store it away. But other than that, like the bridge does have a little bit of life to it, and I think Travis's drums do sound pretty good. But also the piano part is like so dumb and childlike that it's good, and that's because it was written by a child.
By a child, yeah. So Alabama plays the piano on this song, right?
Yeah, she said, "I have an idea," and then started playing that part. He told People magazine.
The
Imagine like
legendary punk magazine, People.
Some people talk to. I mean, I guess now that Punk Planet is gone, there's just not as many places to talk about this stuff.
No,
so you gotta go to People.
Once Punk Planet folded, that was it. Us Weekly, of course, is sort of taking the reins for Heart Attack.
It's like the most Pageman thing is when people talk about a publication folding. I get a little bit of glee at the pun. And you're like, oh, it folded like print paper. Yeah. Fold it. You folded it.
That's bad, man.
So anyways, they almost left the song off of the album, which I think they should have.
Yeah, but they should have left all the fucking songs off this album. Like, it's not like there's bonus tracks that are better than this.
But that's what I'm saying. If this was on California Deluxe, I feel like we might have been more generous to it.
That's true. We'd been like, oh yeah, they're trying to do an old school thing. It didn't really work, but glad to see them try. But the fact that this was like a single,
but then Travis Barker said,
video.
Travis said, dude, we cannot leave this song off the record. It's too important for the Take Off Your Pants and Jacket era of Blink.
Oh my god.
Which is just like frustrating. And then it was the second single. Like, and I remember everyone was stoked about Bored to Death, and then they just and I don't know why it's not I guess it's because they still exist in radio, but also trying to get on blogs. Because I know Rabbit Hole was released to blogs before this song was a single.
Yeah, I guess
it's not listed as a single.
I guess that's like part of a strategy now, right? Where sort of some songs are like for the heads, which I don't know. And then this was like they really wanted to push this one, so they made a fucking atrocious video for it.
Yeah, and guess whose idea the video was also?
Alabama's.
I wish we could say that. No, it was Travie B's idea.
Of course. Travie B with a lot of good ideas coming from Travis these days.
Yeah. I'm going to let Mark describe the video first. And this is really, in this video, I do feel like there's a part where you can kind of see his heartbreak at how soul-crushing the whole thing is. There's a moment where he gets really quiet and just like sits there. And I think it's like a similar feeling of like contemplating that we're not even at the halfway mark yet for me. Right. So let's watch this. This is with Rock Sound magazine, which we all know and love.
Yeah.
It hasn't folded yet.
She's Out of Her Mind was born out of a video idea that Travis had where we would not be in the video at all. It would just be models playing our instruments. And somehow that morphed into, why don't we do a spoof of the What's My Age Again video, but instead of it being us in our 40s, have it be women models. And that morphed into these YouTube and online personalities, these women that came and did it along with Adam Devine. Devine? How do you pronounce his name? Yeah.
Oh God.
Who I'm a fan of and who I've met and become friends with. It was a good idea. And the best part was we didn't have to do anything for it.
That was like 50 seconds long. Like, couldn't they have just been like, let's just redo that? Like, let's just figure out how to pronounce his name and
This
not
guy
have
that you're friends with.
this like pregnant silence in the middle of you talking about it.
I mean, I guess.
Oh, that's so uncomfortable.
I guess I was going to be like, you don't know how to pronounce his name. I don't know that he's my friend. We hang out. But then again, like, I'm pretty sure I'm still mispronouncing your name. So.
True.
And I can't.
Yeah, but we're not friends.
Can't be,
so
that's right.
fine.
Yeah. And it's sort of part of what keeps that distance. I'm doing it on purpose.
It's pretty frustrating to me that. I mean, we haven't talked about What's My Age Again yet, obviously.
But I rewatched it after watching this video, and it was like splashing cold water on my face. Like I was alive again.
Like, I don't think, and I'm just being a person who is trying to get offended by everything again, but I don't think What's My Age Again was necessarily like a gay panic thing, right? It was just like some dudes streaking, which maybe for some people, like if you streak now, someone could be like, oh, that's like sexual harassment. I didn't ask to see your dick right now. And that's a whole different thing.
Yes.
But what I'm saying is, at the very least, I think with the What's My Age Again video, perhaps they subverted the idea of music videos needing to have like sexy women in them on TV in order for them to sell. And they subverted that and like, well, we're a bunch of dudes. We're going to run around and be naked. We're going to be the naked ones, and that'll be funny. And so in 2016, they decided, let's just get rid of that and get a bunch of girls to be naked instead. Because Travis's idea, obviously, was like, let's see a bunch of naked chicks instead.
Well, yeah, but I think it was, it was like Lady Ghostbusters.
So you think it was?
I think it's a real feminist move to say we're gonna cast this. No, I mean, to go back to the What's My Age Again video, it's not like, having just rewatched it, it's not like it's them running around and it's all like dudes being like grossed out. Like what you would have is normally you'd have like some guy being grossed out and then another guy who's like definitely gay who's like into it, and then like that's the joke. But it's not.
Right.
It's just like kind of people are just like, what the fuck, the whole time, and it's funny. Like the video is not. It's like sophomoric and I think ultimately like just sort of like joyful, the way the best kind of like jackass nudity is.
Yeah.
And so,
but then for it to just be like, let's get a bunch of chicks instead. And I know someone will say, well, they're obviously not just like conventionally attractive women or whatever.
Yeah,
they're
one of them looks like Faith Goldie. So that's a.
But I would like to add that they're not human beings because they're Vine stars.
Right. And that's the part that blew my fucking mind. So I was watching the video and I was like, why couldn't they get 3 people who can play instruments? Because it's like when they're running, you're like, okay, fine. And then they cut to like, because it's basically a shot for shot remake with a few scenes out of the What's My Age Again video. So they do them performing in the white room with like the same colored drums and guitars and bass and stuff. But the woman who they have playing drums like cannot like, she's clearly never sat behind a drum kit before. And it's like, fine. I mean, I guess you could think it was charming, but it was like, wouldn't it be cool if they actually had people who like knew how to play and it was like proper? And I was like, it's not like it's like hard to find a woman who can play fucking drums. But that's when I realized they were Vine stars and that
they're just trying to get some cross promo going on. And also the new one has way more like product placement. I feel like someone films it on like some sort of phone.
Yeah, there's definitely like all contemporary music video product placement. But the fact that they are social media influencers like made me so depressed, because this is the shit that like the record label that I work for does when they have some fucking new country band that has like no followers on any of their platforms because they're just like fresh-faced, from Clinton, Ontario, gonna take the world by storm. And so they'll cast like Instagrammers in their videos to get views. Like this is a strategy. And I know I'm not blowing anyone's minds, but like I've always found it to be like really depressing where like
it's crass.
It's a marketing ploy and it's totally effective. But what's really funny is you end up with these videos from like new bands where every single comment is just from like a fan of the influencer who's in the video who's like, oh my God, so-and-so is so great in this. And like, and what, the song's fine. Like I don't even know that it works, but it's good. Right. It's good purely from a like metrics standpoint. Right. But again,
we should really get some Vine people.
We should. Yeah. The problem is you just keep getting like, people who make memes on Instagram, which is like not enough.
Yeah.
We need Viners.
Like people who make like obscure punk niche
Yeah,
memes.
alienating punk memes. But like, it's this idea that this thing that I've seen used in a way that I find like sort of fucking depressing. Even though I understand that it's like necessary and whatever, but it's like a way to cut through the noise. But the idea that like that's what Blink has been reduced to, because it sounds like, and if you read like even like the Wikipedia entry about the song is kind of like, oh, you know, we originally we decided to be fun if it was women, and then someone suggested they should be influencers, and it's like, yeah, your management was like, you're 40, no one gives a shit about you. Here's how you reach a new audience. Like, it's just like the song is so like market tested, or not even just, it's been constructed in such a cynical fashion, and then this video that is paying homage to like one of the most memorable and I think like joyful and fun Blink videos being recreated.
I would say one of the most important videos of the 2000s.
Yeah, like just an iconic fucking video, and to so recreate it with this like cynical and like outdated, like I don't want to say, because it's like just the idea of it being like, this isn't a like cool feminist reboot. This is just like, instead it's like young attractive women. It just feels so like
so you're
cynical.
saying that young attractive women can't be
in bands. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Can't be on camera ever.
Well, also, okay, before I want to keep talking about that in a second, but I'm curious also because you're a suit and you're part of the evil machine.
Yeah,
I'm curious. I feel like it was, maybe this was even the tail end of it, but even maybe 3 or 4 years ago, like when Much Music rebranded and got rid of everyone cool and just got like 30 YouTubers on it. Mm-hmm. I feel like influencers were sort of propped up. They were like the Bitcoin of media.
Yes.
And now are they sort of tapering off and no one cares about influencers anymore?
People still care because...
But is it just like suits who don't get it? Like in real life, I don't really see people talking about influencers, but maybe it's because I don't hang out with 12-year-olds as much as I would like to.
Yeah. It's, I don't know. I mean, I think in general, the problem is that there's no standards. So like if you are a suit and you're buying an ad on Much, like you're buying 30 seconds, you know, in a block, like with sort of a guaranteed or sort of an assumed audience, right? The problem with influencers is like it's all made up. Like everyone's making it up the whole time. Like there's no standards in terms of rates. And so I think the bottom is definitely like dropped out a little bit, but at the same time, like it's still, you know, all the campaigns that I work on at work, like all have influencer components, every single one.
Right.
But I couldn't tell you if it's fucking working, and I also couldn't tell you
how much would it cost for us to get like a mom of 2 who lives in Kelowna, who has like 50,000 followers on Instagram, to do a sponsored post where she's sipping a hot cup of cocoa with her sleeves rolled up over her hands and wearing like a super floppy beanie and looking so cozy, wearing headphones, being like, I just love when the kids are away and hubby's at work so I can curl up and listen to the latest Blink 155.
I mean,
how much would that cost, and how successful would we get?
I mean, I think we'd be tremendously successful, and I bet it wouldn't cost as much as you think that it would cost. That should be how we start marketing the pod. Is just like through lifestyle
like
Instagrammers, yeah. But like
mommy bloggers, I love it.
Yeah, I know that's your shit, right?
Oh hell yeah!
I just like. I mean, we need more time to like unpack the merits and dangers of influencer culture. Like we do not have enough time, but like it's fucked, and the idea that like that's what they used recreating this video for is just like some
so upsetting.
Struggle punk desperation play is just like fucking bums me out.
If you are the kind of person who is like so optimistic, that I'm even surprised Sam is not that kind of person to be like, oh well, it is just like a nice gender reversal, and finally the women get their chance to be the jokers or whatever. This is how the community responded to the video. This Reddit post that I just sent you.
But I like the idea of like the women get the chance to be the jokers, because really the first video was subverting like traditional gender roles in 90s music videos. And so like you can't go back and like re-subvert, like it just doesn't make any fucking sense.
I know. I'm saying if you were so optimistic that you're like, no, let them have their turn. If you were that naive and optimistic.
Right.
Well, on the Blink-182 Reddit, there's a post that says, how many times have you guys masturbated to the She's Out of Her Mind video? And sure, there's a lot of joke responses. There's a lot of people saying funny things 182 times. Ha 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 ha. That's funny. But then scroll down to the Orange Misfit post, and it's very disturbing. Very upset. It's like some Mr. Skin-ass creepiness on here.
What the fuck? This is so Mr. Skin. Okay, so mostly it's joke answers, and then the Orange Misfit points out, lol, the censorship kind of ruins the idea. Imagine if the last shot was uncensored. Most responses would go from 0 to 182. Although there's a generous portion of their ass cheeks in this shot, it's not enough to warrant it at all, honestly. Oh my god.
And then there's like a screenshot of like 1 millisecond where you can see ass cheeks. It's like so creepy.
Oh god. The internet was a mistake. It's just great because then it's people being like, dude, you're weird. And then it's him being like, say what you want about me, I don't care.
Yeah, he's like, say what you want, but look at how many views my YouTube videos got. So he is also an influencer. So really
sweet. Yeah, this is...
But anyways, I think it's time to move along from the music video. And we're talking about influencers. Mm-hmm. We're talking about online personas. Mm-hmm. And I've got something very special to share with you.
Oh.
I'm just going to actually not send you the link. I'm just going to play it for you because it's so special.
Okay.
This voice might be familiar to you. Here we go.
She said, no, I'm not. Take your eyes off the phone. You're obsessed with Snapchat, baby. Will you just let that go? She says, hey, snap me a selfie. Will you snap me a selfie? Will you snap me a selfie? I'm dating this girl and she's on Snapchat all the time. Say, babe, will you please put your phone away tonight? We're on a date, and she's still on Snapchat. I'm dating this girl, and she's on Snapchat all the time.
Oh, he didn't do the, oh yeah.
But, he goes at Snapchat. Oh my God. He basically ethered Snapchat. That's crazy.
Which again is kind of, Snapchat's kind of like, in my mind, influencers too, where like everyone forever was like, Snapchat's the next thing. And I feel like people probably still say that in meetings, but it's like definitely not.
No, everyone in meetings knows that Snapchat's kind of a ghost town, but I can't, when like something so poisonous gets said around you or you read it and it's like, you can't shake it ever. Like, so... So I remember reading an article about Snapchat and what at the time people were billing as the like kind of migration of YouTubers over to Snapchat, and there was a pull quote from a YouTuber who's from Toronto or based out of Toronto called Matt Santoro, and it was, I don't remember what the first part of the quote was, but it was about like him like really being like a power Snapchat user, and then the end of the quote was just like, and that's why I'm doubling down on Snapchat. And it was like one of those moments where like my entire body just like flipped inside out because I just didn't want to like be who I was anymore, which was a person reading that article both for work and like a hobby.
Well, I much prefer Darius Burke's parody of "She's Out of Her Mind." And that song, by the way, was called "Snapchat GF."
Great.
In case you couldn't tell, that was one of his better parodies. I think.
Like, can we get him on the pod? Because it's one of those things where I've swung so wildly where now I like truly think it's art. I mean, like I'm genuinely infatuated with Darius.
Me too. I mean, he just really speaks to the times, and he is not afraid to cut people down.
That's it. He's speaking truth
and he
to
always
power.
punches up.
Yeah.
He's punching up to Snapchat. Although I guess in this one he's really blaming the GF.
He's really mad at his girlfriend. And I would say, like, my dude, maybe you got to look at yourself. Like, you know.
Yeah, maybe you should be more. I don't know though.
Well, yeah.
I mean,
we
those
don't know
Snapchat filters ruin relationships.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
Okay. Speaking of, so let's get into covers quickly.
Okay.
We'll do some covers. Oops, I'm hitting play too quickly. So, because this song sucks ass, and because you have to go soon, and because I feel like torturing you, we're pretty much only doing acoustic covers today.
It's so unnecessary.
But it was either that or like there's like 10 8-bit covers which are all pretty boring.
I mean, it's going to be the same.
And then
bad
there's just
fucking
like
song.
there's just a bunch of like straightforward pop punk covers that it's like, what is your deal? Do something with it. So instead we're just going to stay in hell and listen to acoustic ones.
It's great.
And this one I think is like some YouTuber-ass guys because they just give me all the YouTuber feelings. They have a nice Max Res default, and I don't know, everything's just
really like calling the thumbnail the Max Res default. That's good.
yeah, I do.
Made me happy.
And the dude is wearing a fitted Star Wars hat.
Oh yeah. I mean, I love Star Wars and I love a fitted hat, so.
I said, settle down, everything is fine. Take your eyes off the floor. He said, no, I'm not alright. I lost my head on the door. And she's antisocial, antisocial, she's an angel, yeah. I'm in deep with this girl, but she's out of her mind. Whoa.
The guy wearing, so this is uploaded by Mark Eichner in 2016 and it has 45,000 views, but the guy wearing the Star Wars hat is like doing like the crazy finger thing while he sings She's Out of Her Mind. He's doing like actions to it.
Yeah, it's that crazy finger is a good way to describe it.
What do you call that? Like a cuckoo?
I don't know. It's
like
it's
so
the only way to
90s.
get up to that note, though. It's just like, ooh, I'm pointing where I want to go with this note. It's great.
No, I mean like when you rotate your finger around your ear to show that you're crazy.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? What's that called? I don't know.
I believe it's called Loco Hands.
Oh yeah, he's doing loco hands, and just in general, his mic setup, his fitted hat, his bad T-shirt. He reminds me a lot of Mikey Bolt, who is this guy who does covers of Uptown Funk in Family Guy voices that I always put on for people to torture them because he's like the worst YouTuber I've ever seen.
Jesus Christ. You're a fun guy to hang out with, eh?
Really, really not. It's like this pod 24/7 in my house. Yeah, so that was.
He's doing a lot of like pointing and then into a fist. Like it's like I'm going for this note and I fucking got it. I got the note, and I hate him. I hate it.
Except weirdly, I feel like this song does work better as like a shitty YouTuber sing along.
It's true because it's. I mean, I guess you're saying 5 Seconds of Summer songs are better than this, but because it feels like a song that's, you know, there's a reason why I guess they got Vine people in the video. Also, I feel like I've been disrespectful to Vine in this episode, like even off the top, which is like
You got to be careful. Vine 2 is coming
I know,
back.
and like Vine had some great. I just didn't care for this type of Vine. This guy.
Vine, yeah, not the professional Viners, like the people when it was in the hands of the people. It was
Yeah,
beautiful.
the children, man. It was like the way the children used Vine. I couldn't do it.
Well, let's go to a darker place, and this isn't entirely acoustic, but it's mostly acoustic, and this is uploaded by Drunken Dropout on SoundCloud. It has 30 listens. It was uploaded this year, and like everything about this seems kind of dark. There's like a childhood photo in the image for the thing, and one of his other recent songs is called Funeral of Youth.
Jesus.
Me and my motherfuckers. This is me. I mean, I think this is just some like real shit. So let's hear Drunken Dropout's take.
Another one for the old crush. It's only a punk song, but it's not gonna be this time because it's just an electric guitar. Nothing else. So. said, settle down, everything is fine. Take your eyes off the floor. She said, no, I'm not alright. I lost my head on the door. She's antisocial, antisocial, and she's an angel, yeah. I'm in deep with this girl, but she's out of her mind. Whoa, oh.
That I was interested in.
Me too. I think when it becomes this like dark, lonesome solo drunk experience, then it has some gravitas to it.
Yeah, it was like a more troubled Daniel Johnston.
Yeah, I agree. Or like a Jason Molina type.
Yeah, totally. I thought that was. I mean, like I'm worried about him, but you know.
Yeah, like I feel like maybe he needs to consider other outlets other than just getting drunk.
Yeah, maybe you could.
It did sound very depressed, to be honest.
Yeah, like maybe you could reach
Although
out to
that
him
was
with
another
some-
thing I wanted. The other thing I did want to say about this song in general is like, I think it's dangerous to what's the term? Diagnose other people. Like when
Yes.
for example, Tom DeLonge was talking about space, people were like, "Oh, he's clearly showing signs of bipolar," and like, I don't know, leave that up to him and his therapist. Like I feel like it's sketchy to diagnose other people. So for this song to be like she's out of her mind, don't love that. And for me to be like, oh, this drunk ass guy who sounds really sad covering it, I'm not diagnosing him as being depressed or alcoholic or whatever. Maybe he's just drunk that one night. You never know.
Yeah, that's true. I think it's very, very big of you, Josiah, to accept that we never see the whole picture.
Exactly.
And that's why we never make any assumptions or outlandish statements on this podcast.
Precisely. But speaking of empathy, this one I thought was really interesting and worth watching because it has a pretty good intro. So this is uploaded by Creepy Cadence in 2016 on her YouTube channel. And here's her intro to the video.
And just to start off the video, I need to say I deleted all of my videos because people at school were finding them and making fun of me for them. So that's why I deleted all my videos, and I don't plan on reposting them. Also, I don't like that kind of music anymore, so I don't understand what's the point in keeping it up. So that's why I deleted all my videos, and I changed the name of my channel just because I felt like it. I didn't really like Singeroni anymore. So, yeah, and I will be singing She's Out of Her Mind by Blink-182. So, yeah, I'll start now. I said, settle down, everything's fine. Take your eyes off the floor. She said, no, I'm not alright. I lost my head on the door. She's antisocial, antisocial, she's an angel, yeah. I'm in deep with this girl, but she's out of her mind. Whoa, she said that I'm sorry, but I'm crazy tonight. Whoa.
Can't believe
So that one made me feel a lot of things.
that was a fucking journey, man. And what's sad though is like if you look at her channel, she's posted that and then she posted a Motley Crue cover. Those are the only two. So after deleting all her videos because people were bullying her, which is obviously bullshit.
Yeah.
Then she came back and did these two songs, and you're like, oh, you know what happened?
Well, she wanted to do she kind of rebranded, I think. So maybe she was covering like pop music before, because now she wants to do like pop rock, pop punk, and classic rock.
Yeah.
So I think she just sort of like wanted to be like into like sort of alternative stuff now, which is cool. But quite a few things here. It's interesting to see the other side of like even what we do when we're like, oh, why did you upload this? Like maybe people are just expressing themselves and then we're too mean. Not us necessarily, but
Never us.
You know, it's just never us. We're usually mean to like 40-year-old guys with fitted hats, which I think is fair.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like I feel like it's really sad that someone's uploading something, getting excited, and then getting bullied into silence.
Yeah.
But also the things that she does technically wrong are what I think made her cover interesting. And
Yeah,
good.
the pre-chorus where I was like, I feel like, because then she kind of came back to it, so I couldn't tell if it was kind of on purpose, but it was like really interesting. The sort of reimagining of the pre-chorus.
Yeah, and like she hit like some chords that sounded possibly wrong in the chorus, but it just made it more interesting.
Yeah.
And it's like better than the original song.
Totally.
So I don't know, that's interesting, and it makes you realize too, like how these songs maybe do resonate with people in a way that they don't for us, because we have all this baggage of actually liking this band for a long time and caring about them. But maybe as a standalone song, it spoke to Creepy Cadence.
Yeah, well, I mean, it obviously did, and it's going to definitely speak to like somebody in the nation who's going to tweet at us and be like, "This is my favorite song. I like
this
baptized
is
my son to this song." Whatever.
So I'm just going to leave us with one more acoustic. Okay. This is uploaded by... There is an Odie acoustic one, but I don't know. Whatever. I mean, he's just like good at it.
We've heard him.
Like that's...
I know how it goes.
That's a good one. So yeah, but this one's also good. This is from the Acoustic Tribute to Blink-182 Volume 2 by the Guitar Tribute Players.
You are strong. You're a woman.
Wait, what the fuck?
To you,
what just
giving
happened?
Up is not enough.
Well, that was an ad, I think.
Yeah.
It's these fucking ads.
Dude, yeah.
That was crazy.
You're not used to an internet with ads, but this is how most people experience being online.
I know. I love it.
Do I like this song now?
Instead of it sounding like HGTV music, it sounds like a commercial for a medication.
Yeah, totally.
Like they're like, you know, the part at the end where they're like,
side effects may include like that.
Do not take Calpatran if you've ever thought about becoming pregnant or not becoming pregnant, as it may cause an exploding womb in elevators. Calpatran may increase the chances of suicide and homicide to 100%. Which I love.
Yeah.
I love that. Because those commercials are always 3 minutes long.
Yeah, and they have...
Because there's all that shit.
Yeah.
And there's still like the old people animated walking, holding hands by a creek.
Because they have to say it. You either can't say what the medication does, or you have to list all the side effects in the same voice. So yeah, it's just like the old people sort of running down the beach while they tell you that, like, you know, may cause infanticide, matricide, patricide. Jesus Christ, every side.
Every side. Hey, gotta hear all sides.
So Josiah, how do you feel about the song "She's Out of Her Mind" by the band Blink-182? What are your final thoughts?
I guess, yeah, I know you're trying to end this, but I've got 10 more covers.
Yeah. It'll just be you alone.
I think, like, I have just from playing this acoustic one, which I did like, but I realized it definitely is just like bed track music. This is from like a stock music site.
Totally. But it'd be good. You'd find it. You'd be like, oh, this is one of the better bed tracks.
Yeah, like, oh, this is, now I'm gonna have so much cred for my my Razor scooter commercial that I'm doing. But it's not very good. It's not a good song. I mean, it feels nice. Actually, I did enjoy shitting on a song, so I liked it for that reason. You got to have some villains in this world.
It's true, and like nothing feels better than taking a good shit, and that's sort of what the last hour has been. So,
and that's why you're a hawk for Calpatran, but do not take it if you
don't take it if you breathe. Don't breathe. Yeah.
It may cause you to never stop shitting.
Yeah, so you're gonna get long johns if you take Calpatran. It's all bad. Yeah, this song like sucks, and it's like everything about it's so cynical. And if the video, like, it's just, I don't know. It genuinely depresses me. But then that last version of it, I was like, oh, okay, I can kind of see how it works, I guess. But I don't know, man. God.
So once again, you like the song at the end.
Yeah.
So now that Sam likes the song, it means we can end the episode.
Yeah, we're there.
So we do have a guest this week. Is my friend and a member of the Pod Nation, Erin Hughes. So stick around for that. We mostly talk about MXPX, and it's great.
Fuck.
Welcome to Blink 155 to Erin Hughes, a.k.a. Danny Marathon, a.k.a. Another Hughes that I've known for a really long time. Welcome.
Yeah. Hello. Thank you.
Yeah, so did we ever figure out, like, are we related, or?
I don't know. I don't want to know because I like to think that we are.
Right. Yeah, that I just assume that we are too, because we have known each other for a long time, and you also know my brother, and you also know my wife, and we also both love MXPX.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at your Skype avatar right now. Is the most iconic MXPX cover of all time.
Yeah. Okay. So I met someone who has that tattooed on his shoulder, and I don't know who it is. And it was years ago at TomFest, and I may never find them, but I thought it was like a pretty good idea.
No kidding. Wow. So for anyone who hasn't seen it or hasn't been to TomFest, which I guess, well, I actually haven't been to TomFest either, but in spirit I have. But this is the cover of Life in General, which is, I think, the best MXPX album.
Yeah. I mean, in the spirit of TomFest, there was a guy there once, and he asked me, well, he said this. He said there's two types of girls in this world.
That's a good start. That's a good start.
There's MXPX girls and there's Blink 182 girls. Which one are you?
Whoa. Okay.
I mean,
that is an you've just like thrown down the gauntlet amazingly. So first, for a little bit for our poor lost secular listeners, TomFest was, I believe I've mentioned it before, but it was, from my external understanding, very cool at the time. Maybe pretty damn corny if you look at it now. But it was like a punk and hardcore and indie festival that happened in Washington State, right?
Yeah.
And that's where you grew up too, right?
Yeah, it was actually in the, I believe it's pronounced Ska-mania campgrounds or something like that.
What?
Yeah, it was in Washington State, definitely. It was run by this guy, Mikey, I think. And actually, the year I went, he was going through a divorce. So there was all this, like, it was technically called Portico that year, and they couldn't call it TomFest. There was a lot of drama.
Sorry, why? They couldn't call it TomFest. Why? Because he was going through a divorce, and that was, like, not allowed?
Maybe because, like, him and his wife joint owned it, and maybe he was just doing it this year, so there was some legal battle.
I remember certain, like, very conservative Christian people being against the concept of divorce. I wasn't sure if it was, like, Tom being is it named after, like, Thomas from the Bible or something?
I don't know.
It's really funny to think back then how people were like, yeah, we have, like, cool punk bands too, but then it's just, like, the most, like, church thing you could possibly imagine.
Yeah.
But cool. So, and another little aside, even though we haven't started yet, recently TomFest started this Facebook group, and they were going to do, like, a meetup of people who went to TomFest, but then, I don't know, I just saw it, like, devolve into all this infighting, and everyone got mad at that Mikey guy and said he was trying to grift them or something.
Oh, no. Wait, can you send me the invite?
Yeah, I'll definitely invite you to the group. Absolutely. There's some cool videos of, like, Billy Bones in there and stuff.
Oh, yeah. That was my first exposure to Billy Bones. And then later I babysat his children, but that was years later.
Years later. Did you tell him that you had seen him before, or did you keep it a little secret?
I think so. I was like, oh, yeah, I was a big Blackjacks fan. Me and my brother, we used to, like, sing the songs.
And there was also another controversy at TomFest when, what was Jeff Suffering's other band? Raft of Dead Monkeys. They played and they said some cuss words in their songs, and then everyone was really pissed off about that. I remember hearing about that.
Oh, no.
What a world. But within the bubble that is TomFest / Portico Fest,
yeah.
You don't remember who said this to you, but that is really throwing down the gauntlet. So in this world, there are either MXPX girls or there are Blink 182 girls.
Yeah.
Let's unpack that. Like, what does he mean by that? And do you think that's even a fair binary to exist?
Yeah, well, yeah, he was just kind of like a stranger, just people in that environment feel like they can talk to each other. And I remember being offended at first. I was like, wait, what? You can't like both? But then I was like, well, I guess I am a MXPX girl, so maybe he's right. But I don't know. I mean, I kind of think maybe he meant like Christian girls and non-Christian girl. Like, could that be what he meant?
Like, probably, but I'm also, as I sort of spend so much of my life thinking about this stuff, I think I can see like a slight aesthetic differential. Is that right?
Yeah, I guess I could talk about what I was wearing at the time.
Yeah,
which
like,
was-
well, I mean, I could picture you wearing something with like maybe like leopard print or leather or like something a little bit more like classic punky looking, whereas like I feel like Blink-182 fans were more like Roxy girls or like Billabong boys, whereas
Oh,
maybe
yeah.
MXPX people still strangely, even though the music is kind of just as corny, no offense, I say that from a place of love,
Yeah, none taken.
yeah, but even in this image from life in general, I mean, that guy's dressed like some sort of actual version of a punk from somewhere, whereas like Blink-182 is a little bit more fratty.
Right, yeah, that's probably it. Because, I mean, I was definitely wearing like Converse shoes and Dickies and three-row studded belt.
Yeah, like the studs is really where it diverges, I think.
Yeah.
I feel like MXPX is more of like a Suicide Girls kind of band, or ironically, whereas
Yeah.
Blink-182 is more of like a American Eagle kind of band.
Yeah, based on their attendance at the, like, even today, I'd say so. That's still their audience.
But it is like, okay, so you at the time were offended, but then you thought about it more. But were you an MXPX girl? Are you still primarily an MXPX girl, or do you think that this duality can come together at one point?
No, I mean, for me personally, I mean, I believe in duality for sure, but in my case, I could pick. I could be like, no, I'm like an MXPX girl, and then there'd be a lot of stipulations, but yeah.
Right. So,
Mostly the album Panic, but whatever.
really? Do you like the new MXPX album?
I don't know. It's like better than what was before it, but I'm not
I feel like that's
crazy
what it was called,
about it.
actually. I feel like it was called like
Oh.
What Was Before It by MXPX.
Yeah.
You're not crazy about it? Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I found myself for a few weeks being like, oh, I actually kind of like this. But then it was one of those things where like if I listen to it in front of other people and they can hear what I'm listening to, I immediately feel too old and embarrassed to be listening to it.
Yeah. I did see them last year. I went to the MXPX show that happened here in New York, and that was good. Like, that's where I realized that I am an MXPX girl when I see them perform live, because it's kind of still what I remember.
Right. but despite being an MXPX girl, you are also, and we don't really often have guests who are like this, but you actually listen to the podcast.
Oh yeah, I'm a fan.
You're a member of the nation.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, coming at it as having picked a side in the great push and pull of MXPX girls versus Blink-182 girls, how do you feel about the pod, and like, has it changed anything in terms of your identity?
I mean, I guess I would say I'm more a fan of Blink 155 than I am of Blink 182. But
I think
It's-
maybe MXPX girls prefer Blink 155 and Blink 182
Yeah.
girls prefer one of those MXPX podcasts.
maybe because I find those very hard to listen to.
Shit.
Because somehow they've become not. I don't know. I don't know any MXPX fans in real life. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have any friends to talk to about it. I don't discuss it on a daily basis, although I do like make mental notes of like, oh, that's a MXPX song you just quoted. You don't even know what you're doing, but I do.
Like, what do they say? Like, I'm okay, you're okay?
Yeah, if anyone says okay at all, I'm like, oh yeah.
Someone's like, oh, tomorrow's another day. You're like,
Yeah.
oh.
Any
Trying to think of a funnier one, but I don't know. Someone is like fist versus tact.
yeah.
So
Any song that's about a girl's name, I'm like, oh yeah.
right.
Crystalina, right. Yeah.
Whenever you
Like
meet
that
someone
song,
named
Crystalina.
Crystalina.
Yeah.
So I mean, is it hard? I think I'm kind of the same way where I've gone through life knowing way too much about MXPX and other Christian things too. Like I know way too much, even though he's kind of cool now. I've always known way too much about Pedro the Lion. And so I just go through life like having all this secret hidden knowledge, and it's not very often that you can find someone else that you can talk to about it.
Yeah, it's true. Like when you discover something about a song and why Mike Herrera picked those lyrics because he liked that movie, and you're like, oh, I know this, but no one else knows.
Yeah. But I guess that's why the internet's good, is because you find other sort of like-minded people.
Yeah.
But growing up in Washington then, where did you grow up? Bremerton. You're the mayor of Bremerton.
Well, yeah, Port Angeles, which was a little outside Bremerton. Like Bremerton's on the Kitsap Peninsula. I was on the Olympic Peninsula, so.
All right. Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah, when I went to the mall, I'd have to go to Bremerton, basically.
Really? Was there a Hot Topic there?
Yeah.
Wow.
Actually, I saw Yuri once when I was at Hot Topic. I left Hot Topic, and then I saw him. I swear it was him walking around the mall.
Oh, I thought you meant he was in Hot Topic, which would be amazing.
I wish.
Was he drinking an Orange Julius?
No, he had a bag, and I was definitely following him like from a distance for maybe too long. Like, I was like, oh no, he knows I'm following him.
Wow.
This was before I had a driver's license, just to put it in perspective.
So you're saying if you had a car, you would have kept following him after?
Yes.
He left. So, I mean, even just that distinction right there, the MXPX Blink-182 drummer division is like Yuri and Travis Barker are basically the exact opposite of one another.
Yeah. He got his first tattoo
Yuri
recently. Yeah.
Oh my god. How old is he now?
I don't know. Like
Yuri age.
40s?
I found a Mexican singer, actress, and TV host named Yuri, and she's 54.
Oh.
What is Yuri's last name?
Yuri Ruli.
Ruli.
And I'm pretty
42.
sure...
He's 42. So I think, actually, he might even be the same age as Travis. Yeah, they're the same age. They're born the same month. They're born in November. They might even be the same zodiac sign. So they're literally the same person, but like opposites.
Crazy.
That's so wild. I'm really starting to think that this Tomfest person was onto something.
Yeah.
You pick
like
a path in life.
Yeah, it does feel that way. I mean, I'm stuck where I am.
Yeah.
Not that I'm that sad about it. I don't know.
But you did, like, you were obviously into Blink-182, right?
Yeah, it was that thing that you said before where it's almost like I was ashamed to listen to them, or you had to sneakily listen, or, you know, if your mom heard you listening to be like, what is this?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it was definitely, like, more edgy.
Yeah.
Because but also when I think back to MXPX, it's so funny how, like, they were a Christian band, but it's just, like, so shoehorned in. They'd be like, your beautiful face, like God's amazing grace. Like, they just, like, throw it in. That's, like, the ultimate of their Christian message, just, like, a bad metaphor or a bad simile.
Yeah. But moms liked that. They're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's really...
I like this song. Well,
again, I do think that Yuri is probably more likely to get along with your mom than Travis Barker, who might get along with your mom a little too well if in the wrong circumstance.
Right. Yeah. I mean... My mom's super friendly, though. I feel like she could get along with anybody.
But your mom was just probably upset by the foul curse words on the Blink-182 songs.
Yeah.
But did you ever go see Blink-182 live?
Not until recently, in which I've seen them a couple times in the past 2 years.
Oh, really? Yeah, actually, even, I guess, the lineup changes is also another parallel between the two bands.
Oh, yeah?
Because, I mean, well, how did you feel about seeing Matt Skiba with Blink-182?
I because back in the day, I think I liked Alkaline Trio more than Blink 182. Like, I saw them several times, and I got my picture taken with Matt Skiba
You
at
know
this
what?
festival once.
Again, I gotta say, Alkaline Trio is a total MXPX girl band. It is. It's like
It is. You're right.
some like skeleton heart design, maybe like a little bit Emily the Strange.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You got your picture taken with Matt Skiba.
And this was before like all our phones had cameras. So this girl was like, "Will you take a picture of me and Matt Skiba?" And so I took a picture of her, and then she's like, "I'll get one with you." And so I got a picture on her camera, and we exchanged email addresses. And so I remember emailing her being like, "Hey, can I get that photo?" And she like took a long time. It was delayed. And then months later, she wrote me back and was like, "Hey, sorry, my hard drive crashed. I lost all my photos. I'm so sorry." And I was like, "That's why you should have sent it earlier."
Oh no, that sucks. But then alternately, how many times have you had your picture taken with Mike Herrera?
Well, I always found it very embarrassing to like fangirl over him. And I don't know if it's because I felt like I kind of grew up with him, but my 25th birthday, which I'll be celebrating like the 10-year anniversary of my 25th birthday this year.
Congratulations.
It was I planned the whole thing. It was like this MXPX driving tour of Bremerton and all this stuff. And then like the day ended with a Tumbledown show, which is Mike Herrera's like country solo project.
Uh-huh.
And I got a picture with him because my friends made me, and I was like, "You guys, no."
but I mean, at least he didn't know about the whole themed day around it, did he? Or did you
Yeah,
tell
he
him?
did. I don't think I did because we like went to their high school. We cruised down Chico Way. We drove by Monkey Trench Studios, which is his like recording studio in Bremerton. Actually, no, we did that the next morning because we saw like these beer cans on like the stoop, and at the show he was saying how him and this guy, oh, who is he? Some other like washed up punk singer doing a solo project. And him were like on like their front porch just having some beers, and then we like drove by the next day. I'm like, "Oh, the beers."
Oh my god.
And I was like, "We gotta go." We like got back in the car and like drove away.
I mean, yeah, it's a little weird how Bremerton, I assume, is very small, and like MXPX isn't big enough that they're probably pretty easy to stalk if you wanted to.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, some of the stuff was just, I mean, obviously they weren't at these other places, but except that one.
Beers, did you take one of the cans?
I don't,
To clone
someone else might have grabbed one.
Amazing. Well, I guess if your 10-year anniversary of that birthday is coming up, you could go back to Bremerton and do round 2 of the trip.
Oh, yeah. I might check out some houses there. The market seems pretty good. I can finally move to
Right.
Bremerton.
Well, now he's moved where? To Texas somewhere?
Yeah.
That's so weird. You can't leave
Yeah.
Bremerton after all that? How is that okay?
I feel like he's not really leaving forever.
Yeah, I feel like he just moved there so he could get that house on that TV show.
Yeah.
But also, yeah, I don't know how I feel, and this is truly just an MXPX pod at this point, but I don't know how I feel about this new guy in MXPX.
Oh, yeah, that new guy. Yeah. I mean,
And
I
I
guess
just-
it's like they kept everyone else and just added him.
Yeah, that's true, but like, who is this guy? Like, add someone else. Add someone who's been around the whole time.
Yeah, I did follow him on Instagram, but
Oh yeah, how's his
I don't
gram?
know why.
How's his feed?
Forgettable.
I like definitely do, and this is what I mean about having this secret knowledge that I can't really share with anyone. Like, I follow Mike Herrera's wife on Instagram so I can see their home life, and it's like so weird and invasive and not the kind of people that I normally follow, and I don't know why. I need to know what's going on in the Herrera household.
She's private, right? Like she had to approve you? Yeah. I know. I follow her as well. I did it so I met him through like actually a Vancouver, BC connection, kind of through Sparrow Guitars, which is Billy Bones, who we've already mentioned.
Right.
So they gave him one of their guitars, and so I like helped deliver it at one point. And so that's when I actually went inside the Monkey Trench Studios, and he gave us this tour. And where was the story going?
Something about following
Oh,
his wife
the
on
whole
Instagram.
So at that point, I was like, this is the good time to follow his wife because we're, comrades now.
Right. I mean, I just bluntly just tapped that follow and just waited to see what happens. But really, she's promoting her wine company so hardcore now that I think she should go unprivate, I think.
Yeah, I guess so. Is it because of the children? But no, lots of people have their kids all out
he
there.
posts the kids too. I also think people go private sometimes in order to get more followers.
Oh.
So you can't just lurk. You can't just lurk Holly Herrera.
Right.
So this is Blink 155 from Blink 182 podcast, where we talk about Tom Fest and Holly Herrera and the Bremerton MXPX tour.
Yeah. Let's see. Matt Skiba, let's loop him back in. Let's see. I don't know why I remember this so vividly, but once I was at a show at the Troubadour in LA, and it was the Lawrence Arms, like they're in the pop punk family. But
Right.
Matt Skiba was there just like watching the show, just like enjoying and watching and standing near me. And I was like, that's weird. Because I guess I always thought Alkaline Trio was a bigger band than maybe it is, because the way people talk about Matt Skiba, like, oh, he was like in this Know Nothing band and now he's in Blink 182. I'm like, what? Alkaline Trio was very successful. A lot of people have their tattoos.
Yeah, I know. But, I mean, you're coming at it from the perspective of an MXPX girl, so that's really...
You're right.
It's a whole different world. You look at the world through a different prism, and everything just has, like, hearts with skull and crossbones through them.
I never liked the hearts. I did like the skulls. Oh, and okay. This last fun Mike Herrera fact. So when I was at the show this past year in New York,
show, yes.
Okay. Sorry, at the show, I saw Chris Gethard's wife. I don't know if you're like a Chris Gethard fan or
I
people.
mean, I know of him, but I'm not at the point where I'm following his wife on Instagram. It's not like the Mike Herrera place in my heart.
She actually wrote a song about Mike Herrera and how she was in love with him and like had a crush on him. And I don't know, she's like super pop punk band musician. So that's just that's a New York tidbit, I got some New York tidbits here.
Because you are involved with comedy stuff, right? Or you have been in New York?
Yeah. I work at UCB.
Right. You work at UCB. You love things that are just abbreviations: MXPX, UCB, NYC.
Yeah.
I don't know where I'm going with this, but
yeah,
I've noticed like a lot of sort of, especially kind of dorky comedy people. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about mostly men. They have like a background or an affinity for pop punk.
Yeah.
Is that something you've noticed at all?
I have noticed that, but it's like the pop punk that I don't like, or it's like the two pop punk people. I don't know. But yeah, that is a thing. I don't know if there's like a East Coast thing that I kind of missed out on. Like, because East Coast people who like punk, like really like hardcore, like punk. And then they like really, then there's like this pop punk, but they're like the super pop. And I like this mid range of like where punk meets pop punk.
Yeah. Like when you say super pop punk, like too pop punk for you, what are you talking about?
Like, I want to use the phrase like the defend pop punk bands, but I don't know if that's like a genre or
I mean, how
do we use that word?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Definitely.
Like if you're on Spotify and you're listening to Blink 182 and then Spotify picks the next band, that band I don't like.
Yeah, definitely. I know exactly what you mean. But male comedians seem to love that shit.
Yeah.
It's so
they do.
Weird. I don't know why. It's like, it must be, I don't know what it is. I don't get it. But I think once again, and I'm not meaning to just be someone who diagnoses what you are based on some stranger at Tomfest decades ago. But I think that is the MXPX girl again. You want something a little bit more punk edge, but with the pop punk element as well.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna fight you on this. It's true.
And so I did make you listen to a Blink-182 song for our MXPX podcast that we're doing together right
Yes.
now. And so how did you feel about it? To me, this song does sound like it could be one of the MXPX girl named songs.
Yeah, it seems like that, but then like this girl that they sing about in this song is not me, you know? Like
Yeah.
who is this person? Um it's like, but you know, you hear I remember hearing songs growing up and I'm just like, "Oh wow, this song isn't about girls like me or girls I know or girls I'm friends with." Like, "Oh, there must be crazy girls out there." You know? And so
What really about her is supposedly out of her mind in this song?
yeah, I don't know.
It's like it's so written by like a narc. It's like just because she's wearing a black shirt and she likes Bauhaus, like the most entry level goth band in the world, then she's all of a sudden out of her mind.
Like she's just like high energy. I don't know. Like because it seems like some of it seems like rude. Like the way they talk to her is rude, but like yeah, what is she really doing except being like, "Babe, sorry, but I'm crazy tonight." Like who's
I mean, however, I'm curious because I haven't gone on as deep of a dive with the old MXPX songs. I've seen
yeah.
like MXPX memes has a little bit, and they do generally seem to have a better track record. But looking at like assuming you still listen to MXPX, are there songs where you're like, oh, this is actually kind of shitty, or do you look back and you're like, oh, this is just a love song about Dolores?
um I mean, I don't think any of them are so bad, but again, I think I always did this thing in my mind where I was like, "Oh, that's about someone else," or "Oh," like I just deflected it and was never offended by anything.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know if I'm just like a bad feminist, like I'm like, "Oh, these were other people's experiences, and oh, I'm just so sorry they were all wounded."
I mean, that also, when you put it that way, I realize how dumb I must sound sometimes when I deconstruct these lyrics. But I'm curious, like, what are some of the songs that you do feel like are written for you or people like you, and also like, are these MXPX songs that are named after girls actually for these real girls, or do they just slap a name on a song about girls?
What's that one? There's like Rock and Roll Girl or like Swing Set Girl. Like all of those ones I'm like, yeah. Sprouted wings and flew away. That's me. I'm flying away. Or like, yeah, she's my swing set girl. I'm like, yeah, I love to swing.
Such like, man, such insanely shallow lyrics.
Yeah.
Maybe
But
Yuri.
just-
Well, imagine Yuri wrote one that was like Hot Topic Girl about the Bremerton Mall.
Oh yeah. Food court.
If
There's
only
lots
she
of,
had a license, she could follow me to the stoop.
they're like, we're not doing that one, Yuri. Sorry. I do think, okay, my thoughts about this song though, the epiphany I had just listening to it was like all like lyrical content aside, it's like I feel like it was written for the pit. Like this song is like when you go crazy to, you know, like even the lyrics are talking about crazy losing mind. I think it's all subliminal for like kids to just lose it and like dance and then mosh and then they like take it down a little bit. They're like, okay, and then they're like, what? And then you just go back.
Yeah, totally. But again, I'm picturing, and I've always said this, like Blink-182 Mosh Pit seems very Christian and reminds me of like going to a show at Trinity Western University or going to see MXPX at the Croatian Cultural Center. Like these kind of pop punk mosh pits, I can't divorce from the idea of a Christian punk concert.
Yeah, there was, I mean, I guess so. Like, because Christian punk concerts, the rule was like keep it vertical, like only pogoing.
Yeah. And you're just like right beside your youth pastor who's got a big grin on his goateed face.
Yeah. Yeah. I was, okay, I'm gonna go back to this, like, the Good Morning America show, I guess people are calling it.
Yeah, I heard you wanted to talk about something to do with the Good Morning America thing.
Well, it's because there was like they created a mosh pit at that. I don't know. I can't even call it a show because what it
Yeah, so you're
was.
referring to like when Blink-182 did their big comeback and played at like 8 in the morning in Times Square.
Yes, yeah. I began my journey around 5 a.m. at the White Castle, meeting up with a friend.
So you actually went.
Yeah, because the call time was like call time. It felt like a background extra gig, like the whole time. So it's like we're taking these early morning trains that like don't run very well. It's like dark out, and then we get to, you know, the worst part of Manhattan, and then you like go through the park, and you're like, what are we doing? But then all of a sudden, like a huge line appears, and you realize all these other people have done the same thing, and so
How did you
all of a
even hear
sudden,
about it?
uh, I was like invited into like a group of people that were gonna go. And then like kind of one by one everybody dropped out except me and this other guy. And I was like, "No, I'm doing this." Like we're gonna do it. And so we get there and then they like kind of like open the gate and everyone files in and they pack us all in quite tight around the stage. But then you could not really hear the music because they had it all like hardwired for a TV show performance. And they performed like each song 2 or 3 times.
Oh no.
And like it really felt like, oh, is the show gonna start? Oh, wait, this is the show. And then and then at the very end, Mark like addresses the crowd. He's like, "Okay, this one's for you guys," and they played "Damn It," which I don't think was aired um, on Good Morning America.
Yeah, probably not. It's a little too punk. And then
But yeah.
that's when the mosh pit broke out.
Well, like, because people were getting kind of bouncy moshy to these like sound check versions of it, and then they would play the exact song again, and people would like mosh again, like they were just as excited the second time. But I don't know, you could barely hear it, in my opinion. It didn't sound like a live show.
I mean, I'm not one to judge necessarily what is or isn't a good punk show, but I feel like playing Times Square at 8 a.m. for Good Morning America is not.
No.
What time did it end? Like, did you just go for breakfast after?
Yeah, kind of, because they like had little vendors there, like coffee and like food, and I was like, oh man, I want coffee. But
I feel like that would have screwed up your whole day and possibly a whole week, like the schedule.
yeah, it must have been like a day I had off. I don't know. But by
So-
the time, like, so wait, 8, 9, 10, like, yeah, everything kind of takes a long time in New York, even though, like, so it was like from 5 a.m. by noon or like 11, yeah, we were probably like sitting around the park being like, oh, well, now what? We're like by the Trump Tower. What should we do?
I feel like you actually should have been paid to be an extra at this.
It did feel like I should have, like, at the end, but also because I've done that as my main job when I lived in LA. So,
Yeah, what did you just post the other day? A really hilarious extra photo.
oh, yeah, I was a jury member on a show called The Whole Truth. And I think it got canceled, but I was in the preview. So everyone saw the show being previewed like really hard. And they were like, Erin, you're in the show? I'm like, no, they just used a clip.
You do look pretty punk. You look definitely very MXPX girl in that screenshot that you posted.
Yeah, I'm having mixed feelings about my new identity.
I think it's good. I think it's like, I think you really own it. And I think I would argue that you've helped define it, actually.
I guess maybe, am I the only one who's ever defined it?
Yeah, I think so. I wonder if that guy at Tomfest was like trying to hit on you.
Maybe. Or maybe he was just like, I like Blink girls. Never mind.
You went to the wrong place to find a Blink girl, bro.
Yeah.
So when you say you've seen Blink a couple times, one of them was the Good Morning America show.
Yes, yeah. And the other time was the Houston Rodeo.
That sounds very similar to our experience seeing them at the Calgary Stampede.
Oh, yeah. Was it like a rotating stage?
No, yours sounds way better.
It'd do full 360 rotation, like the whole time they were playing.
Why?
so everyone could see in the arena.
Oh, that sounds so bad. I feel like you've seen some awful Blink-182 shows.
Yeah. Well, this was the weirdest thing that happened at that event was on the big, not billboards, like the reader boards. Before the show started, they have like, fun facts and stuff. And one of them was, who's the lead singer of Blink-182? Is it Travis Barker? I don't know if they put Tom in there. They might have, and they're like Mark Hoppus or Matt Skiba. And I was like, oh, I got this. So, you like text your answer. Do you know what you would have answered? Do you want to know what they answered?
I'm actually a little confused by it because I feel like maybe even contractually they split the vocals pretty evenly throughout. I would have probably said Mark Hoppus just because, but like I still feel like it's kind of split.
Yeah, the answer that they posted on the screen was Matt Skiba. And me and my friend, we were like aghast. We're like, oh, what? But then so we watched the whole show, and I would say they had Matt Skiba doing like 80% of the work. Like he was sweating harder, singing more, playing like. And
maybe he saw that screen and was like, "Oh shit, I need to live up to this."
Yeah, so I believed it by the end. I was like, "Oh, I guess so."
I think that's just like some real guitarist bias that people who've followed MXPX know. The bass player can be the lead singer too.
Yeah.
It really does come back to MXPX being the foundational band of all bands.
Everything can be brought back to that, especially if you ask me. I'll find a way.
Amazing. Well, is there anything else that you need to tell us about MXPX or Blink-182, or anything that you want to plug, or where people can follow you, or where people can talk to you about MXPX?
Yeah, wait, I had one more thing about the song, and it's a Canada thing. It's the way they pronounce antisocial is very Canadian. Like I would say antisocial, like anti-flag, but I know because I've spent a lot of time in
Canada,
Vancouver, yeah. But like people would say anti-flag, and so this was like antisocial. And I know like anti-social, like the skate rat pronunciation of the skateboard shop.
Right, in Vancouver. So is that really? That's a new one that I've never noticed before. So
I mean, would you?
I would never say anti-social. That feels pretentious to me.
Yeah, okay. I guess my suspicions were correct.
Wow, I wonder. I mean, it would also sound really weird if they said anti-social in the song.
Yeah, I suppose so.
But that really ruins the whole. I haven't recorded the part of this episode with Sam yet, so I'm gonna wait and see how he says it.
Oh,
and then,
yeah.
And then we'll sort of I'll do, because this will go at the end of the episode, but I'll do like a knowing sound when he says it, but I won't explain why. And then if anyone makes it to this part, they'll know what happened.
No. Oh, and that Blink gym that you guys have mentioned episodes ago.
Yeah.
I used
to. What's the deal with that again? It's like at 155 is the address.
Yeah, I used to walk by it all the time because it was right across the street from the old Upright Citizens Brigade Theater location. And I meant to get like a selfie, but I never did. But yeah, they have Blink gyms all over here. They're kind of like the bad guys that are taking over the like New York gyms that everybody goes to.
Of course, typical. It's like Blink-182 taking over pop punk, creating this monster. The Blink gym is the same way. Oh, that's really too bad. Maybe if you ever happen to be on that block again.
Oh yeah, I'll get one for sure.
Because I don't care about the other ones. I only care about the one that's located at like 155 This Exists Street or whatever it is. Like it's like such a deep reference to us. I feel like they must have named it after us.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. So where do people find you?
Danny Marathon, yeah, that's my name on most social media. DannyMarathon.com is my website where I sell my zit cream if you want to check that out.
That is so pop punk.
Danny Marathon's Pizza Face Zit Cream. And I have like this thing called the Low Life Guide. If anyone's ever in New York, I have lots of maps and things of all the cool places and weird spots to go, pop punk tours, etc.
Amazing.
And
What?
by pop punk, I mean like Lower East Side, 77 punk rock era.
Right. Yeah, you have to define it. That's really the you've really left the other half of your MXPX girldom on the West Coast. I feel like you just only have you had to pick sides when you moved to New York.
Oh, yeah. That's why I feel so lost out here.
Why is it Danny Marathon? What is that from?
That was from like my original comedy videos that you can still find on YouTube under that name. I don't know. I lived on Marathon Street in LA, which is near what's not Hellcat Records. Hellcat is underneath the Epitaph Records. I lived right near there. Like Marathon Street runs into that, and I don't know. We just like picked a name to like represent this like comedy channel kind of a thing.
Fair enough. So
Back
people
in
can
the
find that. They can buy your Zit Cream.
Yeah.
They can go on your punk tour. And I heard you might be getting a Blink-155 tattoo.
Oh yeah, I'll do it.
So
I'm gonna do it.
if any of the other New York listeners want to hit up a tattoo sesh, is that a thing on the table?
Yeah, we could do it. I mean, in New York, it's hard to orchestrate people's schedules, I know. So, but like, solidarity. Do you guys, like, do you want us to get your design? Like, I feel like we need your blessing.
Oh
Or do
yeah,
you
well,
just do like whatever?
you could do that, or you could do anything. Get a tattoo of Bill Billingsley.
Whoa. I don't know. Your guys' design is good because it's kind of like no one else knows. Unless
You can
they
pretend
know.
that it's not that.
It doesn't have the word pod or the word blink or.
Yeah, I think secretly that was why Sam liked it too, so that he can just like hide it easily.
Yeah, but I definitely want to get into shows for free if we have the tattoo. I don't know if like that's a thing, but that's what Alkaline Trio used to do.
Yeah, someone had asked that before, and like so far our one show was free. So, but I mean they're gonna cost more, so you should get the tattoos, everyone.
Okay. Phew.
You're obsessed with Snapchat, baby. Will you just let that go?